Hello and welcome to our Friday Digital Marketing live stream hosted by Exposure Ninja and myself, Dale Davies. Today we're going to be talking about PPC, so if you want to learn a little bit more about that subject, stick around. We're also streaming on our new YouTube channel just for live streams and webinars, stuff like that. So if you haven't yet subscribed, make sure you do start by clicking that button down below. We are being streaming on Facebook and LinkedIn and all those places as well. So if at any point you enjoy anything you've learned today, make sure you press You can press the link down below as well, but you can press like down below to show your appreciation for Jana, who's going to be joining us on stream today. So, Jana, welcome to the stream.
Hi, everyone. Happy to be joining again.
How have you been since we last had you on the stream?
Pretty good. Thanks for asking. Yeah, I'm super excited to be talking more about PPC and just to get started.
Magic. Well, in that case, let's get started with your presentation. So you're going to be talking to us today about why your business, Jana, or maybe the person watching right now, needs a PPC brand awareness campaign. So perhaps you'd like to take over from here.
Yeah. Okay, let me just get my presentation set. Okay. So hi everyone, happy to be joining another Exposure Ninja live stream. Today we're going to be talking, as Del said, about why your business needs a brand awareness PPC campaign. So first we're going to start with saying and explaining, just 1 second, my notes went. Okay. So first we're going to start with explaining what brand awareness actually is. So it's a very important first step of the marketing funnel. It's the ability for people to recall and remember your business and recognize it when they're faced with a buying decision. The whole goal of brand awareness is to get your audience to understand who you are, so who your brand and business is. What do you do that is different from your competitors? And the value of that difference to your customers. So like I said, the brand awareness is the first step of the entire marketing funnel. And it's a very crucial foundation to eventually acquire customers and to have a long-term growth. So we do have a lot of clients coming in and saying that they're not interested maybe in the brand awareness side of things because they only want to have like PPC campaigns to get those sales in, to get those numbers up. But we always tell them that, brand awareness is such an important part of the entire advertising funnel. And you cannot simply have salesy offer ads running towards audience that hasn't ever heard of you before. So in order to have the entire picture and in order to get more customers in the long term, you need to have brand awareness campaigns as well. So just think about, why do you buy a certain brand of toothpaste when you're in a supermarket? Why do you buy a certain brand of chips? Why do you go to McDonald's or KFC instead of going to a local fast food shop, etc.? You're making those decisions because you saw their brand somewhere, because you recognize that brand and you feel secure buying from that brand. So like I said, awareness serves as people's ability to recall and recognize your business. It keeps your brand top of mind when they're faced with a buying decision, whether that's somewhere offline, whether that's, Googling something and then seeing your ad on PPC, whether that's finding your brand through some blog post, whether that's seeing an organic result. So even though brand awareness campaigns, when you're running them, they don't have like the goals to get sales. So they don't have immediate goal to get sales. They are helping when your audience sees your brand somewhere else along the line. They're helping to make that buying decision for them. So the goal is to expand one of the goals brand awareness has is to expand your audience, to increase website traffic, to build brand affinity, and ultimately cultivate leads. The research from ISPO says that 90% of all purchasing decisions are made subconsciously. which means that when we are in the supermarket and when we are buying that, toothpaste brand or chips brand or whatever, we are basically making that decision subconsciously because somewhere before in our lives we saw the ad from that brand and it made it into our head, and that's why we're buying that brand, because there's no particular reason unless you've tried that specific flavor of toothpaste, etc. But you're mostly making those decisions just because somewhere before you saw that brand and it's somewhere in your head, even though you're not aware of it. We use those mental shortcuts to skip the process and avoid being overwhelmed by the number of available options from competitors. And that's why your brain just, chooses to go with the most familiar brand. It's very interesting, actually, when you think about it. Okay, now that we've defined what brand awareness is and what's the goal, we're going to talk a little bit about the brand awareness ad creative. So how to make a good ad that is going to help get your brand recognized and popular with your audience. So like I said, ad creative should serve to explain who you are, why people should buy from you, and what is the problem you're solving and what is the solution that you're giving to your customers. So firstly, you will need to define what your brand stands for. So try answering these questions such as, why does your company exist? What differentiates you from your competitors? What problem are you solving, and why should people care about it? Those are the sort of gold questions when defining a brand purpose, and this is something you want to communicate in your ad. Secondly, you need to address specific customer needs. So why should people care? We call this demonstrating your USPs, or unique selling propositions. So each ad should make a proposition to the consumer that says and answers what is the benefit of your product, and what is it that you're offering that your competition can't or doesn't offer, and how is that relevant to your customer. Next, we have aim to be authentic and memorable. So there might be a case where maybe you don't have a USP, maybe you're not different from your competitors in any obvious way, but what you can do is, like, you can create your brand personality. You can be a funny brand, you can be the brand that is eco-friendly. So you can always make your brand a little bit different than your competitors, a little bit different than anyone else. Next, we have know your target audience. So this is very, very important because you need to know who you're advertising to and how you want to talk to them and how you want to make that ad. So if you're advertising to a younger audience, you would want to have maybe some bright colors, nice looking ad creatives that are fast moving and that are jumpy and sort of trying to catch their attention. Maybe your tone of voice should be more friendly. Whereas we're advertising to maybe some older population, they want to have some time to understand your ad, so it doesn't need to be so jumpy and fast, and maybe the fonts should be a bit bigger, maybe your language should be clear and concise rather than fun and have personality. So yeah, it's really important that you know who you're talking to, and just imagine that your brand needs to speak to your target audience the way you as a person would speak to that audience. So don't overcomplicate things and don't be super serious because you're a brand. You can have personality with your brands as well. Create engaging ads. You need to find a curious angle that catches people's attention. You definitely need to make people stop and read through and look at your ad. If you're using images, then think about adding some bright contrasting colors. That's going to catch people's attention. If you're using a video, then think about having your logo and your message up in the first 3 seconds. so that people know immediately when they start playing the video what is it about, so they continue watch the video. And clearly communicate what your product or service is, unless your brand is already super familiar. You need to use a mix of various ad formats and placements. So don't focus only on one platform. I would say use multiple platforms and think about where your audience is. So for some businesses, that audience will be mostly on Facebook. For some businesses, that audience will be mostly on YouTube, maybe LinkedIn, maybe Snapchat, TikTok. There are so many platforms that you can use to reach your target audience. And always, when advertising, try to use a mix of different ad formats and placements, just because your audience can be one portion of your audience can be mostly Facebook, well, another one can be on YouTube or on Google, etc. So think about using a variety so you can reach all of your audience everywhere they are. Be consistent and stay in the picture. So when thinking about big brands such as Nike, Adidas, and those sorts of brands, they're always trying to deliver the same message. So for example, Nike and their slogan, "Just do it." I think that's been around for like ages. And even though they're creating a new brand awareness campaign with having maybe some new actors, sports influencers, etc., they're always trying to deliver the same message. Just to do it. So the whole point of having brand awareness ads is not to change your message over time, unless you're doing a rebranding or something, but to keep delivering that message, and so that the audience can recognize who you are, why are you here, and what makes you different, and how are you going to help them. So you want to be memorable, and the way to be memorable is to be, consistent and just repeating your message over time, like McDonald's has, "I'm loving it," and the whole song. So yeah, try to stay consistent. Deliver on your promises. This is mostly related to when you're making a statement as a business, such as, you care for the environment, so you're like an eco-friendly brand, or you have strong policies around discrimination, so non-discriminatory policies, or any sort of like statement you want to make as a brand, that you're offering, the best price on the market, best quality on the market, etc., etc. Make sure you deliver on that promise. So don't advertise something that you're not 100% confident that you are delivering to your customers. Otherwise, that can really backfire and just create a really bad perception of your brand instead. Here I just put two examples of brand awareness ads. So you see the Nike, it's more for like the product awareness, so the baby and toddler shop collection, and Klarna, which is a really simple, nice looking Facebook image ad, where they stand out, in my opinion, with this bright pink color and just saying what the product is, and that's it. Next, we have results and KPIs. So like I've mentioned previously, when you're using brand awareness campaigns, whether that's on Google Display, Discovery, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, anywhere, you are not measuring the same things you're measuring for your conversions campaign and more offer and sales types of campaigns. So you will not be looking at sales, cost per lead, return on investment, etc. But you rather want to focus on metrics such as reach. So how many people have you actually reached? Cost per mile, how much did you pay for 1,000 ad impressions, and trying to reduce that cost as much as possible. Frequency, which is an average of how many times did one person see your ad, which tells you if there's more room to increase the budget to reach more people. Because if it's a frequency of like 1 point something, that means on average, one person sees your ad 1 time. So you have the room to increase this until you reach like 3 or 4, so that one person sees your ad at least 3 to 4 times, which really helps to get your brand recognized. Then also we have video views percentage. This is great if you're using a video campaign, whether that's on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, anywhere. You can see how much of the video has your audience watched. And if it's like below 25% mostly, then you know maybe you're not, maybe your video needs some changing, maybe it's not as captivating as you thought it would be, or maybe even though if you created a great video, maybe you want to make it shorter and push your message further at the beginning, so that people, if they're watching 25%, they get the message to them. Now we're going to be talking a little bit about how to create brand awareness with specific platforms. We're going to start with Google Ads. And here I have an example of how to create brand awareness for search ads. So what you want to do with search ads is that you want to bid on top of the funnel long tail keywords. So here we have an example of I was searching for what is the best way of doing a keyword research. And even though I haven't searched for keyword research tool, so I'm not in the bottom of the funnel phase where I'm searching for exactly the tool and the price of the tool and what tools are out there. I'm searching just for the best way of doing the keyword research. It means I'm top of the funnel, just trying to find some way. I would be pleased if I see a blog post having some suggestions on how to do keyword research. But then, these advertisers see these keywords, these top of the funnel keywords, as a great opportunity to present their product to people who are top of the funnel and researching for the best ways to do the keyword research, and saying, okay, hey, we're here. There's this option to use this tool. So have a look at our brand. Obviously, if you have a good SEO strategy and you're ranking maybe organically pretty well for those top of the funnel keywords, maybe you won't need to use, you won't need to bid on them. But if you see there's a lot of competition, even though you're ranking organically well, you can be maybe on the 5th or 6th result. So if you see that your competitors are bidding on top of the funnel keywords, maybe then you still need to consider bidding on them as well, just to beat them and get into that space. You can also bid on competitor keywords, which is great for advertising and presenting your brand and business to people who are already looking for a product or service you're offering, but maybe have been guided and decided to, maybe they have intent to go to your competitors, but you can still steal them from your competitors in this way. But if you are advertising on your competitor keywords, I would say it's really, really important to have a dedicated landing page that on which you will have some sort of comparison table where you can compare pros and cons of your competitor product or service with your product or service, because what you don't want to do is get people who are searching for your competitor and get them to your homepage or whatever, and then just have like a general information about your product and service, which is going to make it harder for them to make a decision of like, okay, I saw your ad, but why are you better? So you need to answer that straight away. As you can see, I have an example here of Monday.com, where I searched for this keyword, and they have competitors on search result number 1, meaning they're targeting and bidding on their keywords. Next, we have, one second. Okay, sorry about that. Next, we have use target impression share bidding. This is great for when you're a strong brand and you have other competitors bidding on your keywords, such as, for example, you're Monday.com in this example here. And then you want to beat your competitors by using this bidding strategy, which basically, when you set this up, you say to Google, I want to be shown on the top results of the search page, no matter what the price, or you can put the max CPC you're willing to bid. And then you are making sure that even though your competitors are bidding on your brand keyword, that you're showing above them or in the top 3 results. So that's a great strategy to answer to your competitors with a keyword and making sure your brand stands out. That's for search ads. And then we have display ads. Sorry, my notes keep going away. Okay, and then we have the display ads, which are great for reaching a large amount of people with relatively cheap clicks, because keywords on search ads can be expensive, up to, depends on the industry, but it can cost you like 10, 20 pounds to bid on certain keywords. Whereas if you use display ads, depending on your industry, but it can cost you around 0.10 to £1 per click, which means you can definitely reach a larger amount of people with cheaper clicks, and just show your brand to your target audience and relevant audience. How would you choose your target audience when deciding to go with display ads? Is that you want to make your ads, you want to choose your broad target audience, but still have some control over who your ads are showing to. So don't focus on using the topics, placements, and keywords for your audience selection, but rather use custom affinity audiences and in-market audiences. And you can also use similar to audiences, which basically you say, okay, find me an audience that is similar to all my purchasers, or find me an audience that is similar to all my website visitors, or find me an audience that is similar to people visiting competitors' websites. So you have plenty of great option here for brand awareness campaigns. Display campaigns can be pretty useful and successful for building brand awareness, even though people not everyone will be clicking on your ad, but just showing your brand out there with a display ad, just getting in front of people's minds, that can be helpful as well later when faced with a buying decision. Okay, next we have, I've said this, stay focused on the audience's option, custom affinity in market similar to. I just put an example here of the Shopify ad that you can see on the right. So this is how a display ad will look like. People scrolling through random websites, reading about anything. If they're in the target audience you selected, they will be seeing your ads somewhere on those websites, which are part of the display network. Next, we have discovery ads, which is also one of the Google Ads tools that you can use, or placements. You can reach up to 3 billion people monthly. Those placements are YouTube Home, Watch Next feeds, and Discovery in your Discovery feed, and then Gmail promotions. These are also great to use for brand awareness or remarketing, or anything that you can advertise for your target audience. And social tabs. I forgot about the social tabs. These are just examples of how they look like. Okay, next we have YouTube ads. I think you saw them many times before. So you have the skippable in-stream ads that can be skipped after 5 seconds. You have bumper ads that are 6 seconds. You have non-skippable in-stream ads, which cannot be skipped, and masthead. So for YouTube ads, it's best practice to use multiple placements. So you can use a various mix of all these type of ads mentioned here. So skippable, bumper, non-skippable, etc. They're really great for raising brand awareness, product awareness, or for marketing ads as well. I have an example here, but I'm not sure if we can click on this. Next, we have how to create brand awareness campaigns with Facebook ads. You have the option in Facebook to choose between various campaign types, which are brand awareness, reach, or video view campaign objective.
Yeah, Anna.
Yes.
Would you like us to show that video, the Ubereats video?
Okay, yeah.
I've got it, so I can play it for you now. I downloaded it and everything.
Okay, because I wasn't sure how to start it.
Okay, no problem. Here we go.
Ubereats? One spicy tuna poke bowl, crispy onions. Salmon teriyaki salad, veggie gyozas. Chicken gyozas, edamame beans. 4 miso soups. Sweet and spicy Korean wings.
Wings.
A sleeve of yogurt-coated rice cakes. Yeah. Sweet chili chicken. Gluten-free noodles.
Nice.
4 lychee and rose bubble teas.
Yes!
3 ginger kombuchas.
Yes!
And
And?
a chocolate matcha brownie.
Come on!
Chocolate matcha brownie. Ubereats. Bring it.
That brownie looked delicious.
Yeah, I love this ad. It's great, and that guy is so good. He's everywhere. Okay, well, just wanted to make a few comments about this type of ad. So obviously, this is high production, filmed with actors, and not many businesses will have the budget to go into production of creating such a high value ad. But you don't need to spend so much budget and hiring actors to create a great YouTube ad. It can be created with basic animations and maybe a few. There are some stock footages you can also purchase. You can maybe film some of the parts with your phone as well, and it can be really nicely done. It just takes a little bit of creativity to get a good idea and present it in a way that would caught people's attention. But that's why you're hiring digital marketing agencies such as ourselves to help you create those brand videos. Okay. Moving on to the Facebook ads and how to create brand awareness with Facebook ads. You have the option to choose between brand awareness, reach, and video view campaign objective. Some clients ask us, what is the difference between each? I would say for brand awareness, if you are a bigger brand, Facebook will try to find people who are most likely to remember your brand. Whereas if you're using reach, Facebook will try to reach as many people as possible within your target audience, but will not maybe use the goal, trying to find people who will most likely remember you. So that's the only difference. But it's not something that is noticeable. It's not something that it's a really like a distinguished difference. It's just how they define it and how they suggest using it. If you're a smaller brand, I would go with reach because it's just a little bit cheaper and you get to reach as many people as possible. Video view objective, it's great when you have video for your campaign because then Facebook will try and find people who are most likely to watch the entire video, which helps your ad to be effective and forget your brand to be memorable. You obviously need a great engaging ad creative, no matter which campaign type you choose, and you can target audience based on demographics and interest, which is great. On Facebook, you have plenty of options to target people however you want. There's tons and tons of interest there. You can choose people who have certain job titles or work in a certain industry or are of certain age and gender, etc. And what is great about brand awareness campaigns on Facebook, whatever option you choose, is that you can always retarget those people who have interacted with your ads from brand awareness campaigns or have visited your website, etc. So you can keep nurturing them along the funnel. Next, we have how to create brand awareness with LinkedIn ads, and it's very similar to Facebook ads when it comes to objectives of the campaigns, but it's quite a different platform because it's mostly for B2B audiences, and you want to find people based on their company, industry, company name, job titles, job seniority, etc. You can also create ads and have an ad. You can also create video campaigns and have a video campaign, and then retarget people who watch that video up to a certain point, and target them with a more direct offer or sales type of ad. Okay, and now we've reached the Jana's tip time, which is just a summary of all the tips you need for a brand awareness campaign. So first one is always use brand awareness ads as part of an ad mix. Yes, it can help with getting your brand recognition and getting your long-term sales and affecting that buying decision when people see your product or brand or service somewhere else. But it's a great way to use it as when you do have some other channels that you are advertising on and you have other campaigns. So for me, the best way is to use it like you would have a brand awareness campaign, and then you would have a consideration or a purchase campaign and retarget those people who saw the brand awareness ad. And then you would also have a remarketing campaign retargeting people who visited your website and showed an interest in a certain product. So that is how we would structure it, and that is the best practice way of using it. Next we have, so brand awareness ads alone don't convert viewers to customers. You need to have a mix of activity on your social media channels. You need to have some blog posts and have content marketing and SEO efforts, because when people come to your website, you need some sort of content and reason for them to keep engaged with your website. You can also have email marketing that, when they come to your website, they can subscribe, and you keep nurturing them in that way. So I would just say transparently, our best clients always use a mix of various different channels. We, as Exposure Ninja, we use a mix of various different channels. We are present everywhere, from social media to email marketing to podcasts to YouTube, etc. So basically, that's how everything ties in well together, and brand awareness campaigns can help and increase your long-term sales with those other channels as well. Like I said before, purchase is not the goal, so stop checking on purchases and stop thinking that this is a waste of money, because it's not. Even though it's not bringing you direct sales, I can tell you it certainly is affecting your long-term growth, and it certainly is affecting of bringing people to your website and getting people to know your brand and getting people later to convert on some other touch point when they meet you somewhere along the line. I also mentioned this before, don't forget to nurture your audience. So get that email marketing working as well, get those conversions campaign, get those search ads, be active on social media, engage with people everywhere you can. The more touch points you have, the more presence you have overall, the better performance and results you will see. And again, I'm just repeating myself all the time. Don't just rely on paid channels. Use organic channels too. Be active on social media. Write those blog posts. Just overall, be everywhere. And obviously, use consistent messaging across channels and website. That is super important. That whatever you're saying it everywhere, and people don't feel like they're seeing an ad saying one thing and then they cannot find this information on your website. So make sure your messaging is consistent everywhere and that you have that same promise all the time. And yeah, I think that's it. Now it's the time for Q&A. Do we have some questions, Dale?
Yeah, we've had some questions come through. But my first question is, so let's say you come to Exposure Ninja for the first time, you've requested a marketing review, and we've looked through and we've determined, okay, PPC is somewhere where you could be doing better. Mm-hmm. You've got 10K a month, £10,000 or local currency to spend on PPC budget after service spend. How do you decide how much of that budget to split between lead generation or sales conversions if it's an e-commerce and brand awareness? Like, what kind of split would you have? How would you make that determination?
Well, that's a great question. And actually there's this sort of rule of thumb that we're using. and usually you would have 5% of your overall budget going towards brand awareness campaigns.
Okay. And if you were thinking about ad creative, would you be really dependent on the client to deliver that, or is that something that you personally work on, or how does that work exactly?
So it depends on the client and depends on their, in-house capacity. But yeah, we as Exposure Ninja, we sometimes do brand awareness ad creatives, but also sometimes clients have in-house video or designers, or they collaborate with some freelancers or other creative agencies.
Are there any kind of formats which are really quite they convert highly, so you use them regularly, so there's a particular style that you might use for your brand awareness campaigns, there's a certain narrative you might use? Is there something that is templated to a point but adjustable to each brand?
No, I would say it's very, very individual. And so video format for me is the best. For me personally, is the best because you can share your story, and it gives you so much space to tell to the audience who you are and what do you do and what makes you different. But in some cases, we can see that, maybe especially on Facebook, some image ads or carousel ads or something else might work better. Just because people maybe don't have time, they're scrolling, they don't have time to play the video, whereas if you have some snappy images or carousel ads, that can work better. So it's very, very individual, and there is no certain sort of template to use. And I would say don't feel restricted, don't think of it as like there's one best way of doing it, because there's not. There are so many different ways to do it, so just be creative.
Super. So we do have one question, which was from Tortoise Property, and they wanted to know, how would you suggest to keep your audience relevant when your setup is broad? So they face challenges with Facebook, which restricts them and their targeting, with their targeting postcodes and age ranges. So how do you keep your audience relevant?
Mm-hmm. Okay. There's like two questions in one here. How would you keep your audience relevant is by adding some specific. So when I say broad, I meant don't narrow down your audience with like 10 interests and age from 25 to 30 and etc. But think of like general interests they can have, and especially on Facebook, you can have multiple ad sets and test different interests and different demographics. Each ad set, so you can see which audience is performing better or not. And I'm not sure if this person who asked this question is a local business, but why are they interested with the postcodes? I'm not sure about that. But if you are a local business and maybe you are limited with the actual geographic location you can target, I would say don't put any interest at all, but rather just the location you're targeting. Let's say you're a dental clinic in Manchester. I would say Manchester is a big city. I don't know. Dale, give me one small city in
Nottingham.
UK. Nottingham. Okay, you're a local dentist agency in Nottingham, and then you wouldn't want to focus on any interest. Not just being dental agency or being any local business, you would just focus on advertising people in Nottingham, because if the audience is too small, you don't want to narrow it down by putting more and more interest. And another thing you can use if you don't think of any interests is that you can target your Facebook followers, but not only your Facebook followers, but people who are so lookalike audience from your Facebook followers, or lookalike audience from your website visitors. And then Facebook tries to find the most similar audience to the one that's already interacted with you. So you don't need to choose any interest at all. It's just algorithm tries to find the best audience for you.
So Tortoise Property, an estate agent, and yeah, they're saying that with postcodes, we cover a very specific geographical area because they're trying to sell or rent out property in specific parts of a town or city. So they can't target specific areas due to Facebook putting restrictions on estate agents. So what kind of workarounds would they be doing instead?
Yeah, well, that's a tough one because I don't think there's an option to target specifically one part of a city. But I would just say target a bit broader and make sure if you are location restricted that you mention your services in the ads. So for example, serving only these areas. You can mention this in your ad to sort of disqualify and prevent people who are maybe outside of your target area, and they will not click on them because they will see immediately in the ad that, you know, this is something specifically related to a certain part of, you know, Nottingham area or something. But yeah, when it comes to options that Facebook gives you, if there are no options to, you know, go specifically to that location, then you need to work with what you have. So we cannot change their settings. We can just work with what we have. Have you tried also pinpointing your location? Because that's an option in Facebook as well. You can just pinpoint your geographic location and target that radius.
So Todd's property followed up with another question. So what would you suggest on messaging for an estate agent? So for a brand awareness campaign, what kind of messaging should they be using in the ad creative, in the actual copy itself? Any suggestions that just come off top of your mind right now?
So firstly, thank you for this this question that usually takes me more time to think of it. But okay, like we said on the presentation, what makes you different? What makes you different as a real estate agent compared to your competitors? Are you faster? Are you more friendlier? Are you available 24/7? Do you work on weekends? Do you work past 7? Because some people cannot, some people work long hours and they need to look at houses during the weekend, on Sundays and Saturdays. So anything that makes you different, anything that will make you stand out, you can write that in your ad. And also the areas you're covering, which from your question before, it seems like a very important message to say. So, offering real estate in X area, you would want to have that in the ad as well. I think that, I hope that covers your question.
Oh, I thought it was helpful. So another question, this one from Phil. So Phil's asking, how frequently should you be putting out a new awareness ads in order to keep the audience engaged? So how often should we be changing it up?
Mm-hmm. That's a great question. This also depends on the size of your audience. So the smaller your audience is, obviously you would need to change the ad more often because they will get tired of it. But in order to know when your audience is too small and has already seen your ad 10,000 times, keep an eye on the frequency column. And if you see this number is, reaching 5 or 6, then it's time for you to either expand your audience or change the ad creative. And I will also add that, as a rule of thumb, maybe once per month or often if you have that sort of capacity to create new ads all the time, just to keep everything, fresh.
Super. So my question comes back to what you were just saying before about the question for messaging. How could you create a message for this specific question? But you said you normally spend a lot of time working on that. Could you perhaps outline for the people watching who don't do on a daily basis what that process looks like? Like, how do you start to, you don't have to do every single step, but how would you start to put the right messaging together for a brand awareness campaign?
So I would usually, when I'm in the research strategy phase with a certain client, I read everything from their website and all of our notes that we have on them, which is a lot, and we have lots of meetings with the client to get to know their brand, get to know their products and services. You're welcome to advice. And just really understanding what makes them different. And then if I have any additional questions that I feel would be beneficial, I ask them to client again. But what I usually do, my thought process is making bullet points that I think would be interesting. So unique selling points, qualify, disqualify customers. Like I said, in the specific example with Choice Property, we had the location, but sometimes you would have the price. Sometimes you would have something, specific. I try and see what our audience is and what would they respond to. I take a look at the competitors, what they are doing. If you see lots of competitors having some type of specific ad or messaging, you want to not copy them, but maybe just put that into mind as well, because if they're doing it and they're doing it for a long time, maybe it's working for them, so it might work for you. But you also need to add something different. So yeah, there's a lot of factors that go into this research and just coming up with the messaging points of the campaign.
Super. And so I was just going to pick up on something you mentioned there about looking at your competitors and seeing what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
How do you go about doing that?
Okay, on Facebook, there is the option to go to Facebook Ads Library, and you can search for your competitors there and see what ads are they serving right now, which is great. You can literally spy on your competitors. This is an option from Facebook because they want to be completely transparent, so they allow you to see that. On Google Ads, so display ads or YouTube ads, there is no option like that you can have a look at. But what I usually do is, if I'm interested in search ads, I just search for the keywords I'm interested in and see what competitors' ads look like. Or if I want to see if they have remarketing or something, I just go to their website and see if I catch an ad from that competitor. And yeah, those are usually my go-to things. There are certain tools, but paid tools, that you can use to spy on your competitors. But according to my knowledge, we're not using any of those, at least not for PPC. So yeah, those would be my go-to tools.
So I was just thinking about how when doing a lead generation campaign or sales campaign, there's a lot of work spent on conversion rate optimization. So you try and tailor the page to make sure that it's going to convert when people get on there for the service or product they've seen on the ads. How does that work with a brand awareness campaign? So you're promoting a brand and a specific message. How do you make sure that it matches the page that it's going to? Because once they get there, I guess they're in a different mindset to somebody who's further down the funnel. What kind of messaging would you use on the actual landing page itself?
When you have a lead gen campaign or any other, I would say, more focused on conversion campaign, you would want to bring people to a specific PPC landing page. But when you have a brand awareness campaign, your entire goal is just to get people to introduce your brand to your audience and get them to know your brand and read about your brand. So what I would do is just send people to the homepage or any sort of top level page that you have that says about your story, explains about your products or services. So you don't really need a specific landing page for brand awareness campaigns. You want people just to maybe come to your website and explore as much as they can. And then if you have a specific offer or anything specific you want to mention to them, you would retarget them and then send them to a specific landing page if that is your goal.
I love that idea. I really like the idea of once you captured somebody onto your website, just keep them coming back for more, something else, another offer, different landing page. Big fan of that. Super. I'm just checking through to see if we have any more questions. Whilst we're just giving everyone an opportunity to ask another question, you can have a little drink. If you are watching this and you enjoyed Jana's presentation today, please do hit like down below and let us know that you've enjoyed it. It's really much appreciated. And this is being broadcast on our brand new live stream YouTube channel. So if you haven't done already, please do hit subscribe down below so that you don't miss out on future presentations. We have a presentation every Wednesday. A live stream every Wednesday and every Friday. The one on the Wednesday is a live website review where we'll review your website and try and give you guidance on how you can increase your traffic, your sales, your conversions. But also from now on, we're going to be bringing you onto the stream so you can ask us questions directly. And every other week, we do something called the Fix or Rebuild stream, where you send me your website and myself and Jess Percival from our marketing team will very quickly just whiz through your website and tell you whether it needs to be fixed to increase your conversion rate, or just rebuilt from scratch to save you some money in the long term and get you a higher converting website. Tortoise Property and Paul having a great time in the chat talking about the naming of Tortoise Property. Tortoise Property, who I hopefully will have on the stream not this coming Wednesday, but the Wednesday after, to look at their website too. Jana, what's the first thing that people should do as soon as they finish watching this stream and look at their PPC campaigns?
Ooh, tough question. Well, hopefully they were making some notes along the way, some screenshots or something that they can, come back to, and they can reevaluate everything they're doing for PPC so far, and think about if there is a need for a brand awareness campaign, and then just start, re-strategizing and rethinking their PPC approach. I think that covers
Super. That's great. Well, unless there are any more questions, which I haven't seen any, I'm going to do the prize draw for the book and get ourselves off for the day. So let me get that sorted now. Jana, thank you ever so much for coming on today. I really appreciate it. Your streams have been fantastic. The views on them have been great. The likes on them have been great. So thank you ever so much for coming on once again.
Thank you for having me.
What do you have planned for this weekend?
I'm going to a friend's wedding tomorrow. So
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's super. It looks like we won the book, so I guess I'll be keeping this copy of the book myself.
Yeah. This always happens.
Yeah. Fingers crossed, not Explosion Ninja again. Don't. Gabrielle, I think I just sent you a book like last week. Give it to Jess. Tortoise Property, I'm sure I sent you one too. Listen, I tell you what, let's just keep going until we get somebody who hasn't had one before. It better not be Paul, because Paul works here. Oh, this is right. Okay, Ayush, you're gonna get the book because this thing's clearly not working. So if you email me dailyexplosionninja.com with your postal address and your contact phone number, I'll get a book dispatched as soon as possible. So yeah, super. And yeah, thank you very much for the informative session, as Ayush has mentioned just there. Super. Thank you very much, Jana. I'm going to just prepare everyone who's watching on the replay for the next video, which is coming up. So again, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Bye.
Super. So again, we do have live streams every Wednesday and Friday. You can watch us review your website every Wednesday. Every other Wednesday. We've got a Fix or Rebuild stream coming this Wednesday. So what day is that? That will be the 18th of May. So do join us there. If not, if you're watching this on the replay, you can click this video right here and you'll be able to learn all about PPC as described by our founder, Tim Cameron Kitchen.